The new patch, TU16.1, is here with some bugs and some problems, but it's finally here. And with it came the Striker's Battle Gear set change, which a lot of you really like. And the highlight of this patch, in my opinion, is 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴's holster. I waited until this was fixed before uploading this build. It was essential. I had to properly present it to you because, man, is this very strong. So many different ways to use this holster. And sometimes when I make builds like this one, where one attribute is stacked, they tend to receive diminishing returns as a result. I personally don't think that this one will be that way because raw weapon damage is just that. And I don't see how stacking more of it will make this build any weaker. Comment below if you have anything to say about that, because I know you math geniuses out there will have something to say. Anyways, let me ask you this. Comment below if you've seen the movie Bloodsport, a film that cemented Jean-Claude Van Damme as one to watch when it came to martial arts films. One scene stood out the most to me. It was when he was challenged to perform the DMG, translated, the touch of death, where an individual channels his or her chi to target a specific area of the opponent's body to deal insane damage, even a death blow in some cases. One particular area is located on the back of the neck at the base of the skull, considered one of the most lethal DMG points. In this video, I'll share with you another DMG area, one where the damage is dealt directly to the health of the enemy. I got so hyped when I thought of this because you can dispose of certain enemies very quickly. Now, there are a few methods I use to make this happen. I'll share with you one that I consider the best, because I want you to be the best, and the only way to achieve that is by being bold, ambitious, confident. By the way, if you enjoy builds from DPS all the way to skill, then don't hesitate to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's begin. So here's what I mean when I say ignores the enemy armor. Well, I'm referring to the heavies and mechanical dogs, chungas, and mini tanks. Now this build you're about to see, as I explained, will also literally melt other NPCs with armor bars. But let me describe the DMG first. If you didn't know, only some types of explosives will penetrate the heavy's armor. I'm talking about the armor you spend magazine after magazine trying to break when shooting the dogs and chungas. This is why the Ravenous and Merciless are so powerful against them. You remember when back in the day in Dark Hours how fast you can kill a chunga? Literally seconds before they could even get to the button. It was ridiculous. And now I completely understand why they nerfed them when changing the Merciless's explosive damage type from that to weapon damage. It was too strong. And it's why the Ravenous came out with weapon damage for its explosion type instead of explosive. Now listen, I've said it so many times before and I'll keep saying it. Yes, the Ravenous is a pain to get, but it's more than worth it. There are tons of raid guides out there, including mine, ways to link up with others so that you can raid. A lot of them are really helpful and some aren't, but that just comes with the territory of sweatiness. Now, courtesy to this video I made, right here I was discussing how to make any assault rifle noticeably melt anything. Well, that inspired this and got me thinking. If I can have enough crit to literally shred through enemy armor, then use health damage on top of that crit, well, you have a match made in heaven then. And the secret sauces are within this build. The first piece, Hollow Man. The 10% multiplicative health damage is a godsend for a setup like this. And let me preface this build by saying its purpose. Both health and explosive damage devastate these armored NPCs. I have never before focused these two attributes. You see, this is an explosive and health damage build, the ultimate damage dealer. And I'm not saying that these explosions stack and make the explosives more powerful. I'm saying that there are very few ways to penetrate directly beneath the armor by ignoring it. So the explosion itself is the key to unlocking this phenomenal feat. It is, in fact, the death touch. By the way, make sure you stay to the end of this video so that I can share with you another secret technique I use to penetrate the armor. But my previous Ravenous build, Terminator, and others like Insurmountable and Vulnerable, builds that utilize a lot of protection from elites. I had to step back from that concept a bit and ask myself, why not focus on pure damage rather than survivability? Well, some survivability with the armor I have, but you know, surviving in combat and sustainability also comes from aggression. Taking them out before they can even do anything to you. Well, that's what I had in mind for this. No protection from elites. It's replaced with crit and health damage. Now, when looking at the build, I'm sure you can see what I did here. I gave everything I needed for maximum effectiveness. For the Ravenous, my primary needs weapon damage for the explosion when switching shoulders. So I have two pieces of y'all, one being the Hollow Man mask that I mentioned earlier for the 10% multiplicative health damage bonus. But wait, before I go any further, I'd like to say something about the Ravenous. Many people say that it's bad, that it's situational, and switching shoulders can get you killed in most cases because a lot of times while in cover, you're not able to. And this is a cover-based shooter. Okay, right now, I want you to completely change the way you think of it. Switching shoulders with the Ravenous is not a necessity at all, especially when killing regular NPCs. Now, for chungas and dogs, it is an absolute death sentence for them, so you should make it your goal to switch shoulders when fighting them. But my advice when using a Ravenous in cover is to treat it like any other weapon. I mean, look at its base damage. Can you tell me any other weapon that has a base damage as high? So this is my attempt to help you mold your method of thinking in reference to the Ravenous, the way to use it. It'll make using it a lot more fun and effective. Moving on. The second piece of y'all is for the 5% weapon damage. I used to rock with one piece Walker Harrison Company, which granted me another 5% weapon damage, but that was replaced with Macaro's holster. So instead, I'll be getting 10% extra, because now it comes by default as an armor core and 15% weapon damage for a named attribute, like how Punch Drunk is. It's about time they reverted this back to the way it used to be, with 5% less damage, but it's still good. And finally, I've got Fox's pair of knee pads. With these, along with the damage to targets out of cover on the Ravenous itself, its attribute is a rarity. This much damage on one piece of gear is too much. So you want to make sure that all of your shots hit like a freight train. And to do that, you'll need the crit chance and damage. 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐳𝐵𝐭 and 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐭. Yin and yang, basically. The 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐳𝐵𝐭 chest piece has spotter, and for his one piece, it gives you 10% crit chance. And I'm using 𝐦𝐵𝐵 gloves for the 15% crit damage. Everything is rolled to crit chance and damage as an attribute. And with spotter, I'm using the Technician Laser Link on my trusty Carbine 7 I got a while ago with Flatline. You already know the caliber of this weapon. Its fire rate is perfect and has damage that does not disappoint. This is how I deal with those NPCs that try and arrogantly rush me. Man, oh man, this method of damage is so complete. Oh, and I forgot to tell you what backpack talent I'm using, and that's Vigilance. I love this. It's great damage, especially when you get to jump on enemies. This is one of those talents that some people like and others just prefer something else. Well, I've been rocking with Vigilance forever, so I think I'm accustomed to it by now. All you want to do with the skills are have something that distracts the enemy and another that offsets them. Anything that'll free you up to deal damage to the enemy. So what I chose were the decoy and EMP sticky bomb. One great thing about the decoy is that it pulses enemies who shoot it. This is great for your team as well. And the sticky bomb is just great all around for staggering and temporarily shutting down skills and proxies. Speaking of which, and one thing I forgot to mention also, on the technician specialization, there's something on the skill tree called dismantling, which deals extra damage to robotics and skill proxies, further increasing the death touch. This is literally insane. Look at the stats, look at the crit and health damage. Check all of it out and witness its potential. Listen fam, I'd like you to do one thing. Comment DMG down below right now. And while you do that, I'll let you in on the other secret to penetrating the armor. Well, it's with the explosive crossbow you can only get with survivalist specialization. It's the perfect representation of that. The bows pierce through straight to the enemy's health, and you can see how it destroys. But at the end of the day, this build is complete, and it's a dominator at that. Could you imagine if I had hollow point rounds with this? Well, I got a build for you, just for that. A build where you would be the one supplying unlimited hollow point ammo to players like me. If you want to see that build, click the link right here. I'll see you in a minute, fam. Be right out.